Hi, this is Courtney Isgett for Human Capital Development 675, Research in Human Capital Development. And I found a journal article, I believe for Module 3, and it is titled Transformational Leadership and Job Satisfaction, a Correlation Study by Nicholas A. Serra. And it is a quantitative research analysis of employee job satisfaction in the workplace, having to do with leadership styles, transformational leadership, and a few other things. The purpose of this study was to conduct a quantitative research analysis to look into the correlation of leadership is specific roles within an organization. Although those roles do vary, depending on the organization, but this study sticks with the basic roles of authority and job satisfaction and things like that. Also with an emphasis on the examination of transformational leadership roles, which the transformational leadership is actually the predictor variable, but we'll get to that in a minute. It also talks about how all of those things can decrease employee turnover rates and cost, because the cost of constantly going through new employees because they're unhappier or whatever the reason may be. This study's trying to figure out that reason. It's trying to link one reason to another, try to find some type of correlation between the two. The problem statement speaks about previous research that had been done by other studies and other researchers to look into organizational leadership and overall employee job satisfaction. That, the author says, was limited data brought forth, even though it did bring forth positive correlation between behavior in relation to transformational leadership and job satisfaction. It is concluded that a more in-depth investigation needs to be made, according to the author. And this study is going to provide that. So in order to look into job satisfaction in the workplace, employee satisfaction, leadership styles in relation to transformational leadership, we have two forms that we're looking at. The first one is the MLQ. It is the Multi-Factor Leadership Questionnaire. It is broken down into 5 components. The JDI is the Job Descriptive Index. It is a scale that is broken down into 5 basic components for this study. For the MLQ, the first one is the Idealized Influence Attributes. The second is the Idealized Influence Behaviors. The third is the Individualized Consideration. The fourth is the Inspirational Motivation. And the fifth is the Intellectual Stimulation. The 5 facets of job satisfaction for the JDI method is satisfaction with coworkers, satisfaction with pay, satisfaction with promotion, satisfaction with supervisors, and with the work itself. So those are for the 2 sampling methods that are going to be used, those are what we're going to look at. These are the basic research questions that were presented in the article. What is leadership between the multidimensional constructs of job satisfaction and leadership as represented by both scales? Which of the 5 facets of job satisfaction and which of the 5 components of transformational leadership have significant weights in a relationship that would be found if the hypothesis number 1 was supported? And for the third, for those components of transformational leadership with statistically significant loadings, are there direct relationships with statistically significant individual, that's a tongue twister, facets of job satisfaction? So I went ahead and so we can know what the research questions are, I quoted them at the bottom as well where I got them from in the survey, in the dissertation, sorry. All right, so participant selection. The selection of participants was completed by using 2 surveys. The first was a questionnaire, or they both were questionnaires. The first questionnaire was offered to all students who are attending the Chicago, Illinois School of Psychology. Participation was voluntary. This questionnaire was used to see who was eligible and who was not for the study. The second questionnaire was a promotion through Facebook and LinkedIn, and it was advertised for voluntary participation to see with a specific targeted audience. So both surveys include the purpose, the summary of criteria, time constraints that could be related, who to choose, who to contact if needed, things like that. The target population is at least 24 years of age, working, having held the current position for 6 months or more, and underneath that supervisor for 6 months or more. And here are just some of the findings that I wanted to include. I'm not going to go over all of them because of time constraints. Some of my concerns after reading this, as far as validity and reliability, was the use of measurement tools in order to collect the data for the study. I felt that the assumption that participants are answering these questions related to their own personal perceptions, and we're just assuming that they're going to give an unbiased and honest answer, if that could not cause some type of validity or raise some type of validity concerns. Also, that accurately measuring components for transformational leadership when using your own perceptions, does that cause diversity among the validity, using personal preference so much in a study? Lastly, it was the limitation of looking into more diversified populations. Excuse me, I'm getting over the flu. So those were validity concerns that I saw. So my conclusions. The author states that the findings of this study show positive correlations between many variables examined, leadership and employee satisfaction being some. Conclusions aligned with the hypothesis that the author stated, and that showed relationship among a lot of the variables. And the author also gives high value to the relationships among the variables contributing to transformational leadership as a whole. So the author thinks that it was a success, and I do too, besides my few points of validity concerns. Thanks, guys.